Okay, hello again, everyone. This is the second one of these deck techs I'm doing, and this time I'm doing my very favorite deck, Rhys the Redeemed Token deck. This one's been altered by a friend of mine, just some extended border stuff. But he's, as far as I know, the second of two one-drop commanders, and he makes a token for 3 mana and tapping him, or you can double the amount of tokens you control with 6 mana and a tap. He's green-white, and he is so much fun to play. This deck's also a very, very slow pimping process. I'm trying to foil it as I can, but I'm fairly budget, so sadly it's not quite where I'd like it to be. But yeah, so we'll start with the lands. Excuse me, God, cough a lot. Alright, so start with the one foil full art I own. Can't really see it, but yeah, full art forest. So we have 7 of each basic. 4, 5, 6, 7, and I really like my arts to match. So it took me a while to track these down, but I mean, not particularly difficult. So yeah, 7 plains and 7 forests. And then for the dual lands, we have a fair amount of them. The deck's pretty, it's not land heavy, I think it runs 35, but yeah, it's pretty mana intensive, so I like to have a good mix. We have Command Tower, OG Reflecting Pool, sadly another proxy. If you saw my other video, there was a Volcanic Island. This one's a Savannah. I'd love it for it to be real, but I can't afford one right now, so this is just my proxy. Fortified Village, I mean, Shadows over Innistrad card, pretty decent. I mean, it's not amazing, you know. Canopy Vista, Forest Plains, so essentially it's a second version of Savannah. Same with Temple Garden, the shock version. Sunpetal Grove, Temple Plenty, just Scry's useful. Stirring Wildwood, I mainly get this for the dual aspect of it, but the reach and the dude is actually kind of handy sometimes. Wooded Bastion says for itself. Slazing Sanctuary, how I wish that was original and foil, but sadly it's not. No one has the foil and it drives me nuts. Sungrass Perry. This card I found online, accidentally. I didn't know they existed. Signet lands, I'm assuming they're called everywhere. That's what I call them. It's just actually kind of useful. It's not amazing, but it's far from terrible. I run both hideaways in the colours, Windbrisk and Mosswort. They're just useful. Sadly, again, neither of them are original versions, as much as I'd love them to be. But yeah. Mosswort, Windbrisk Heights, Dryad Arbor because of the trick. And if you don't know the trick, you'll find out later, because I'll talk about it when I find the other card for it. And Oran Reef because it's crazy with tokens. For the colourless utilities, Gavany Township. This one's cool and I believe Italian, the Stretto de Gavany. If you've played Standard or even Modern against this card, you know how powerful it is. Homeward Path, because Insurrection kills me more often than not. Temple of the False God. Oh dear. And Crescent Verge. Crescent Verge is pretty handy. Sadly, it does come into play tapped. But you pay 2, you sack it, you search your library for a forest and a plains, and put them into play. Generally, it'll be Savannah Temple Garden, Canopy Vista, Savannah Canopy Vista, that kind of thing. That's why I run 3 of them. In case you draw 1, you can easily fetch the other 2 with Crescent Verge. That's it for land. Next we have the rather small pile of artifacts. No commander deck is really complete without Sol Ring, unless you play French, in which case, why are you playing Commander? Skull Clamp, banned in Modern, and if people don't know why, it's pretty ridiculous. Essentially, you pay a mana to kill one of your 1/1 tokens, you draw 2 cards, and these colours are not really great at drawing cards, so this card is immensely useful. Oh, dude, excuse me. Eldrazi Monument. Creatures you control get 1/1 flying and indestructible, as long as you sack a dude every turn. That cost means pretty much nothing in a token deck. If you're not generating more than 1 token a turn, you probably shouldn't have cast this. If you don't have any creatures, you have to sack it. It's true. Oh, sorry, if you don't sack a guy, you have to sack it. And yeah, I mean, but it's your safety from board wipes. It's It's just a useful card. Like this, yeah. Anachrome's Memorial. This card is crazy strong. Especially my meta is pretty black and red heavy. Also, the Trample and Vigi and Flying are all incredibly useful as well. So that's the artifacts. Next we have enchantments. I didn't actually notice until I pulled this deck apart to do the video that I have a lot of enchantments. Surprisingly, so we'll go through them. Luminarch Ascension, an incredibly strong card in white. As long as you don't take damage, you put a counter on it, and then you can put Angels on the field for 2 mana. And again, I play Pods a lot, so this card usually, if I drop it turn 2, by turn 4, I can pump them out like nothing else. Tangible Virtue. Sadly, this is the Eternal Masters version, purely because it's the foil, because I couldn't find an original foil anywhere. But yeah, tokens get 1/1 and Vigi for 2 mana, that's powerful. All I need to say about this is Lifelink wins games, as does Double Strike. 6 mana hurts, but I mean, that's pretty much nothing. That was out of order, because Cathar's Crusade should have been in front of that, CMC-wise. Oh well, Cathar's Crusade, whenever creatures enter, all your creatures get a 1/1 counter. That's ridiculous. With tokens, it's even more so. I often don't have enough dice to be able to do this properly. Aura Shards. Artifact decks and enchantment decks aren't amazingly common, but this card is ridiculously powerful to deal with them anyway. I'm not that kind of guy who destroys Soul Rings. That's rude and really not fun. I play the game for fun. I don't really care who wins as long as we enjoy it. But this card's just useful for getting rid of all those pesky Sphere of Safety type decks. Glare of the Subdual. I make so many tokens in this deck that I can usually just tap down people's boards and then batter through for Fatal. This card is surprisingly useful. Mirari's Wake. Who doesn't want extra mana? The only problem I have with this card, apart from the fact that it's, I mean, it's foil, yay, but it's conspiracy version. My only problem with it is it gives your creatures 1/1. Normally that's a good thing, but there has been countless times in games where I've wanted to do some Skull Clamp nonsense, and this card stopped me from doing that. But that's just me being stupid. Collective Blessing, a 50-cent rare that does a lot of work. It's kind of crap. Like, 6 mana to only give you guys 3/3. Arguably overruns better, but, I mean, I just like it. It's just useful, really, and it's kind of on theme, too, which I quite like. Concordant Crossroads, bit of a crazy card. 1 green mana enchantment that gives all creatures haste, essentially, with the really crazy wording for it, but, yeah. With Rhys, it's ridiculous. Need to be kind of careful playing it, but it is kind of fun. Exploration to boost some land. This is a recent addition. Pretty foil. No, you can't really see it, or whatever. Cryptolith, right? I didn't even realize it was a card. I don't play Standard, so I didn't really keep up with it. And then someone showed it to me, and I realized this card needs to be in this deck, because it essentially gives all my spells Convoke, and that's crazy. Beastmaster Ascension, again, pretty stable token deck when you're playing green. Gives you guys 5/5 as long as it has 7 counters on it. You put a counter on whenever you attack with a creature, so pretty good. Parallel Lives, because more tokens is better. Doubling Season, because even more tokens is better. And this card is just ridiculous. Abundance is an odd choice, I believe. It's very useful. It allows me to filter. If I'm drawing nothing but land, it lets me get a non-land. If I'm drawing no land, it lets me filter for land. It's very handy. Hardly necessary, but it's just utility, I feel. And asceticism stops people killing my commander, because my commander needs to be around. And Hexproof is a good way to do it. Plus regenerate if you have a lot of mana. Yeah, that's all the enchantments. We'll go to Planeswalkers. I love dual deck promo art. So I've been trying to get all my Planeswalkers in that. Elspeth Knight Errant, her ultimate is great. You get an emblem with artifacts, creatures, enchantments, and lands you control are indestructible. With Doubling Season, she enters at 8, so you play her, you ultimate her, and you're just set for the rest of the game, essentially. Really strong. 3 tokens for a +1 is ridiculous. A board wipe's really handy, and her emblem is pretty sweet too. Sun's Champion is an immensely strong card, and I love it. Garrick. He's an overrun on a stick. Sadly, you can only use that stick every now and then, but pretty useful. His land ramp, to an arguable degree, depending if you're running the Mirari spec and whatnot. And 3/3 green beasts are just nice. Primal Hunter, again, everyone likes 3/3 green beasts, and he's a powerful draw, and his ultimate's kind of cool, but I don't often get it off. Getting a 6/6 Lando control. Usually he's just for beasts, or I'll play him and then sack him to draw a bunch of cards. That's all for that. Next we have, whoops, trying not to drop my cards everywhere. Creatures, the backbone of the deck. Myria Angel is immensely strong. When you drop her, whenever you play a land, you get a 1/1 bird, and tokens are just nice. Hero of Bladehold, again, spawns tokens and buffs them. Nothing else needs to be said about this card apart from it's amazing. Sun Titan gets back anything that's been blown up, a few of the enchantments, and the artifacts that might get destroyed, land if it gets milled. Just a useful white card. Darian, I found this guy in a friend's box, just for a random trade. And I read him, and then I read him again, and I realized he's an immensely powerful protection if people don't hit you, and you mix him with Tristani, and you generally, if they don't kill you in one hit, you essentially don't die because you get guys back and gain their life total. Their power as life. Probably one of the best white cards ever printed, creature-wise at least. Elish Norn, she is amazing, and nothing else needs to be said. Another immensely powerful white card, Avacyn. This is the card that got me into Magic. I sadly never pulled it when I played. I had to trade for this one. But she is incredibly powerful and one of my favorite cards in the game. Tristani, people tell me I should be playing Tristani over Rhys. I tell them to shush, because her life gain's really nice, and Populate's kind of cool, but it's also 3 mana for a token. I do that with Rhys, but Rhys also can double my tokens for a bit of extra mana, and he comes out 3 turns earlier. She's cool, but she's just useful in the deck. Sagata, All Is Dust, it is an annoyingly common card in my meta, and that can just bugger off on every stretch of the imagination. And not only that, she's pretty awesome as well. Wiltleaf Liege, Nakusa decks hate this card because I just throw it on the field and get to buff my guys. Disgusting border from Modern Masters 2, yuck, but hey, foil. And it's just a good lord effect. Oracle of Moldaya, this card doesn't really have to be told its glories. It's amazing, lets you play land, and lets you play land from your top. It's nice. Evermilder helps you fetch some land, pretty decent chump blocker. I actually don't have a spare copy of Sacred Tribe-Elder, or else that would be this, because he puts land in hand, but he's also a draw mechanic. He's good. Champion of Landhold. This card is crazy strong. Oh, excuse me, because it stops your weenies being blocked by weenies by buffing this one card. And because it goes off power rather than the amount of 1/1 counters on it, you don't even really, you can just play it and then run like an overrun effect, or even just some of the lord effects, and avoid getting blocked. Yeva, because flash is great. I flashed out my general more often than I can count. So on my turn I can double the tokens with the amount of mana, and then just get silly. It's just good fun. For a long time I called this the fairer Prophet of Krufix, but since Prophet's been banned, Seedborn Muse is just bullshit. I think we can all understand why. When I can double tokens in everyone's turn, this card is stupid. Acidic Slime for a bit of versatility. Not versatility. Utility. He's a good Green Sun's target. He's a good Chord target, just to get rid of rather annoying bits that I haven't been able to hit with Aura Shards, or Cabal Coffers, Nykthos, that kind of thing. Rampaging Balos makes tokens. Pretty much enough said. Avenger makes tokens, and is another one of my favorite green cards. He's really, really cool. So a bit more utility is Terastodon. I've blown up my own land to get tokens off him for a kill before, but generally it's just to get rid of annoying things I can't deal with, namely Planeswalkers. Excuse me again. Nakatal Warpride. A friend of mine found this in a bulk junk box and showed it to me, and again I had to read it a couple of times to realize how insane it is. When it attacks, it gets, I put X tokens of a copy of it into play tapped and attacking, where X is the number of creatures defending player controls, and each of them must only be blocked by one creature if able. However, the token copies do exile at the end of the turn, but I did find out that if I attack with it and then with the tokens on the field copy them with Rhys, the copies Rhys makes don't actually exile, they lose that ability. And so I end up with a bunch of copies of this card, and then it just escalates from there. This has won me many a game. Hornet Queen, don't have that many flyers. Death Touch is amazing for strong flying. One of the biggest pains in my ass in my meta is a Kalia deck. Really, really hate it. This card just helps me prevent that kind of nonsense. Hoof, my favorite green card ever. I'm so happy I got this one in foil. This card's ridiculous, and it is one of the backbones of the deck, and it just works amazingly well. Wormcoil Engine, it's big, it gains me alive, and it makes tokens. Awesome. I've been told to take Kozilek out. I wish I could for that hideous border. But he's draw power, which I don't have in the deck because green and white aren't amazing at drawing cards. And he also allows me to put my bin back into my deck, and that's just useful. He's also a pretty huge dude, so yeah, he's alright. That's all for the creatures. Next we have sorceries. This video is a bit longer than I thought, so I might speed it up a bit. One of the best green spells I think that has been made in a while is Green Sun Zenith. Excuse me. And the trick I was talking about before with Dryad Arbor, if you don't know it, is turn 1, you play this for 0, and you go get a Dryad Arbor, and then this shuffles in, it nets you 2 mana turn 1. So it just puts you ahead. It's just really good. Again, the guy who altered this altered my Rhys, and it's one of my favourite alters. I think it looks really cool. This card's odd. Join Forces. It's called Collective Void. Join Forces. Everyone's allowed to pay any mana, and then everyone goes to get as many basics as people paid mana. It's a little odd, but it's a really, really strong ramp, and I feel more often than not my deck can dump cards and get a strong board presence a bit faster than a lot of others, and it's 1 mana ramp really. So even if I play it turn 2 and I'm the one with mana out, that's fine. Skyshare Claim. This is essentially, if I don't get Crescent Verge, I use this to go get my duels. And if I get both, then Crescent Verge gets basics. It's just, it's slightly better than Cultivate. Triumph of the Hordes. Everything getting 1/1 trample in effect. That essentially, with enough tokens, spells I win. Shamanic Rev. I like this card. 5 mana, and I draw a card for each creature I control. You need to be really careful so you don't deck yourself with it. But you also gain life if you have Ferocious. So that's just handy. Martial Coup, board wipe that provides tokens. This card's just funny. I get X 1/1 flyers, where X is my life total. With lifelink in that, my life total has been pretty high, and I've given them haste before. So this is won me games. It's a silly card, but I like it. A non-token board wipe. It's just really good in a token deck, and probably one of the best token generators, at least in Commander, I think. Enchanting Angels, just lots of fun. But sadly, I think this particular card is cursed. When I was playing the other day, we played, I think, 7 games, and I drew this 4 times in my opening hand. So, you know, it's annoying. I don't know why I was pushing it towards the camera then. Okay, so we'll quickly wrap this up with the instance. Path to Exile and Source Splashes to strong white removal. Elidamri's Call, it's a creature tutor, just really good, slightly better than Worldy Tutor because it puts it in your hand. Another tutor, but for up to 3 target creatures. Excuse me. And you put them on top in any order. Fracturing Gust, getting rid of all artifacts and enchantments, and it lets me gain life. I don't often like to dump this on my own enchantments and stuff, but it's been necessary before. It's just really useful. Beast Within to deal with stuff I can't deal with. Corrosive Grip, because Split Second is awesome. I like doubling my tokens, and this lets me double my tokens in another way. I haven't actually played it yet. I'll have to see how it goes. But it's really useful, I think. And yeah, we'll find out, I guess. And Quarter Calling is just another tutor. This thing gets hoof and wins games. Lots of fun. So that's the deck. Hope you guys liked the video. This is Rhys again. Yeah, this deck I've been playing for a long time. I have altered it a few times. I tore it apart once, but I'll probably keep playing this deck for a long time because it's just loads and loads of fun. And I hope you guys liked the video, and I'll probably try and make another one if I ever get around to building a deck that I like enough to, yeah, to film, I guess. Yeah, that's about it. Have fun and enjoy some more Commander games. See ya.